in the story of the Lord of the Rings that we're all familiar with, and also The Hobbit to a certain extent, it is about a journey that this small hobbit, Bilbo, and later his nephew, Frodo, will undertake. It's a dangerous journey, a journey that is way more stressful, complicated, and dangerous than they could have ever imagined. The life in the Shire is welcoming and familiar and safe. And both these hobbits, and especially Bilbo, are very tempted to keep it that way, to just stay where they are, be happy with what you have, enjoy the company of your friends and family. And when a wizard stops by and asks if you want to follow him on an adventure, to absolutely say, no, thank you. Please go find someone else for your crazy adventures. Life is good. But in the stories of both Bilbo and Frodo, you see that these hobbits, once they are called to follow Gandalf on an adventure, something is awakened inside of them. And after they heard this invitation to leave the Shire and to embark upon a journey that they can't really predict how it will end, once they have received that invitation, they don't feel at home anymore. And there is this wonderful moment that Bilbo, after first refusing to follow Gandalf, and after having seen the invasion of the dwarves that have eaten up all his possessions, and he's completely panicked because his life is turned upside down. Once the dwarves and the wizard are gone, he looks around at what he has, and he feels that he's called to something else. He's pulled into an adventure despite himself, despite everything that would keep him in the Shire. And so he runs out of breath, runs after the dwarves and Gandalf and says, I want to come with you. That is the core message of this time of Lent. When we talk about Lent, when someone asks us, so what is this Lent about for Catholics? How does it work? Most of us will probably say something like, Lent is about giving up things. It's about giving up food, no meat on Fridays. I'm going to give up this or that. And then maybe some people that are hearing us talk like that will wonder, okay, well, that's impressive. Some people even put it on Facebook or on Twitter, and they proclaim, for Lent this year, I'm going to give up social media, Netflix, video games, my car. And you see the likes and the hearts, and wow, that's great, amazing. But I think we totally miss the point if we define Lent like that. That it's just giving up stuff. Because Lent is not a display of our ability for starvation. If there's one thing that we read in the gospel, is that Jesus says, that's not what this is about. It's not about posting how wonderful you are, how pious, how much you're giving up, and then be admired and get all sorts of likes. Even in this gospel, you see that the whole principle of these thumbs up already existed in the time of Jesus. People want to kind of show off. But Jesus says that if you really want to follow me, make sure that no one knows that it's not about showing off. But Lent is a journey. And a journey is always going out of your comfort zone towards something. You're pulled into an adventure, just like Bilbo and Frodo are pulled into this adventure by Gandalf. There's something, it's like a magnet. They can't stay in the Shire anymore. And I think Jesus wants to explain that Lent is, well, he's not talking about Lent, he's talking about the three ingredients of Lent: prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. That these three pillars that we put in the central, as the central pillars of our time of Lent, all have to do about a journey towards something. And it's actually very simple to understand. It's a journey, first of all, to God. He is the goal of your life. Your journey on this earth does not just go towards an inevitable ending. No, it's a journey towards an encounter with God, an encounter that will last forever. And so when you pray, it's not about you, about how wonderfully you can pray and how pious you look. It's about, close the door, it's about you and God. It's about the encounter between you and God. That is what it's about. He calls you to pray. Prayer is not an accomplishment. It is an answer. It's a conversation. The second thing that Jesus stresses is fasting. What is fasting? Fasting is, again, not showing off how much you can give up. After all, who cares if we give up Netflix or social media for Lent? How is that going to change the world? No, fasting is a journey to what is the core of who you are. Fasting is realizing that my happiness, that my purpose in this life, that my goal doesn't need stuff. Who I am, who I'm called to be, my value is not measured in my possessions or how much food I have in my fridge. You can do without, because for God, you are pure gold the way you are. And God does not care how much stuff we have. And by going on this journey to the core of who we are, we then discover that we can actually do without a lot of stuff. And so the process of fasting is not just starvation and showing how courageous you are in not eating and stuff, but it is going on a journey to discover how much God values you and how much all the rest is unimportant, and you can actually let go of it. But you let go to be able to hold on to what is the most important in your life. So it's a journey towards who you truly are called to be. And then finally, this time of Lent is also a call to embark on an adventure, on a journey towards the others, towards the people in your life, the people you meet when you're on your way, the people that need your help, even those pesky dwarves that are loud and noisy and uncivilized and eat all the time and sing way too loud. They still need Bilbo, and he can help. They can't solve their problem themselves. And that's how Bilbo discovers that even those dwarves can ultimately become his friends. And he discovers their value behind the beards and the bulky clothes that they're wearing. And it's this journey that makes you happy. Because friends are maybe the most precious thing that we can receive in our lives. And so it's a journey. Leave your own little world and travel to your neighbor and see if you can help and discover how much these friends along the way can help you in your life and give you a purpose in life. Almsgiving, again, is not showing off how merciful you are, but it's a journey, it's an encounter with your neighbor who is just like you, and you discover how much you have in common with the people that God sends you. So For me, this time of Lent is a call to adventure. For 40 days, we are invited to follow Jesus, like Bilbo followed Gandalf, to leave behind what is ultimately not really important. You can live without it. God can give you so much more than what you own and what you eat and what you have. Let go, so you have open hands to receive what he is going to give you along the way. It's easier said than done. And that is why this time is 40 days long. It takes weeks to begin to let go, to say goodbye, to leave behind what you thought you needed, and to discover that the only thing you need is God. Is God in the face of your brother and sister? Is God inside of you? Nothing else matters. Solo Dios, basta. Only God.